Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the DaniloBMMA podcast. I'm with Dylan, the Machete Zanetti. Thank you for joining me, sir.
Thank you for having me. How you going?
Pretty good. How about you?
Very good, very good. Been a good day so far. Been a good week. So yeah, just ticking away, training, working, and doing what I got to do.
I know about your Thailand, everything, your fighting career and everything. For the people that
Yeah,
don't, could you explain it to that? Could you give them a breakdown?
yeah. So I started Muay Thai when I was about 16. Did karate since I was 3 years old. Before that, had about 15 fights in Australia. Then moved over to Thailand for 2 years. Had 13 fights over there, 13 wins. I was sponsored by Bangtao Muay Thai and MMA, which is one of the biggest gyms over there. Yeah, and I was training MMA while I was over there as well, while I was fighting Muay Thai consistently, and I built up a really good record. And kind of a good name in the South Thailand scene. And now I'm back in Australia. Kind of done my thing over in Thailand. I'll do little trips, but I don't think I'll do a big trip again. But yeah, I've got a really good gym here. I'm training at Strikeforce Gym in Australia, which is the #1 gym in Australia for Muay Thai. Still training a little bit of grappling and wrestling as well. And yeah, just ticking away. Recently, I won the WMC Queensland title. And for those who don't know, the WMC title is probably the most prestigious sanction in Muay Thai because there's four main sanctions: WBC, WMC, WMO, and ISKA. WMC is #1. And yeah, now we're hoping to get that Australian title next.
So, what's the plan after the Australian title? Are you just staying with Muay Thai, or are you going MMA, UFC?
Well, we've actually got two boys in our gym that are signed to Karate Combat, so that's an organization that I really do want to fight on. Obviously, with my karate background and having the experience training with, the guys in the UFC and at Bangtao and just all that, like I feel like my style is really good for Karate Combat. That's the organization that I really want to fight in, and yeah, if I can get into that next year, or yeah, that's definitely somewhere where I want to be. Um, you know.
Talk us through walking out. Like how I saw you had that uniform and everything. Like talk us
Mm.
like what was the atmosphere like?
For my last fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great, man. Like, my fight before that, I wasn't as prepared as I should have been, but this one I just ticked every box. It was a grueling camp. I've done everything. And it kind of just felt like so many things in my life were aligning for that moment. Like everything just felt like it was meant to be, winning that WMC title and fighting in front of my home crowd for the first time in a while. It was awesome, and I just felt so present, so focused. I just wanted to put on a show, and that's what I did. The scorecards at the end of the fight were like 49-43 or something like that. And yeah, it was just a good night, and I'm really happy that I got to showcase my skills and show why I'm one of the best in Australia.
Uh, I don't know if you followed, but I don't know if he's Australian or not. Carlos Oldberg.
Yeah, he's Kiwi, but yeah,
Yeah.
Kiwi boy.
I was gonna say like guys like Volkanovski, guys like other Australian champions. What do they give you inspiration to become the next champion?
Yeah, 100%. Like, obviously Karate Combat, like I said, is the organization that I want to be in. Like, if I get into that organization, man, I want that world title.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and even just seeing the Aussie guys like, Volkanovski, he's a very big inspiration. We're actually from the same town, Wollongong. I've got family down there.
Yeah.
Um, and he just who he is as a person, and he didn't even start martial arts at all until he was 23 years old. And just seeing how much he's accomplished and how dominant he is, yeah, that definitely gives me a lot of inspiration. Jack Dell is also a pretty big inspiration, just fighting on the eternal scene here. um, and I've trained with some guys that have fought him as well. So yeah, just being around that level of people, and also just seeing what the Aussies can do, and especially going over to Thailand, bro, like training with the UFC guys and training with the Aussies and training with like some other countries, it's kind of made me realize like Australia's at a pretty good level, bro. Like, Australia's at a good level, and there's no reason why I'm not on that level, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was gonna ask you, what inspired you to start fighting?
Well, I've always done martial arts, since I was real little, like, starting karate since I was little. And I kind of got into a phase when I was probably around 12, 13 years old where I just said to my coach, like, I want to fight. Like, I didn't really enjoy the karate tournaments anymore because I was getting, like, I just felt very restricted, I'd be getting disqualified for going too aggressive, or I'd hit people in the head when it was only body contact accidentally, and you'd get points taken off you. And that, and also just like being a teenage male and just being around certain groups, like there's a lot of testosterone and a lot of, you know, trouble. Like you can get yourself into some certain situations, and I guess fighting was always kind of an outlet for me, and even not just the fighting itself, but the discipline. Like, it kept me on the straight and narrow. I did some stupid things when I was a teenager, but also like I would have done a lot worse if I didn't have fighting.
Are your Muay Thai inspirations, are they like Rod Tang, or are they like John Charles the
Fucking Daniel Rodriguez is probably the biggest inspiration for me. Daniel Rodriguez, he just recently won or he's been the RWS champion for a long time, and his style just as a southpaw, and I actually got to train with him in Thailand, which was mad. But I'm also lucky to have a few inspirations that are actually at my gym, like James Honey. He's a big inspiration for me as well. He's signed to Karate Combat, and two-time world champion, and Chad Collins is another big inspiration, and Jaden Enyard. Yeah, they're all guys in my gym, which I'm really grateful to be able to train around guys that I, really do look up to.
At the end of your career, what do you want to be remembered as?
Fuck. Someone that was never in a boring fight, you know what I mean? Like, I've never been in a boring fight. I don't plan on ever being in a boring fight. And just being remembered as being very evasive, technical, and adaptable. Someone that can solve those problems on the fly, and someone who'd always give it their all. You know what I mean? Who'd always give it their all every time they stepped in the ring.
Where do you like training more, Australia or Thailand?
They both have their pros and cons. Australia, you have a little bit more control over what you do as in training. And like I said, our level is quite high here, and especially at Strikeforce, man, our level is really high there. And I love my coach, Mr. C. He's the best, and Peasy, he's awesome as well. Um, Having that connection here is great. But the good thing about Thailand, man, is you just got everyone on the exact same path as you. Like, no one works, everyone's just there to train. And yeah, the coaches still are great there. But if I had to pick and stay down, like, I'm pretty happy in Australia, man, to be honest. Thailand's, I guess, will be a bit more of a go there, train for a bit, come back type thing. At least that's what I see at the moment.
So where are you now?
I'm in Australia. Yeah, Gold Coast, Australia.
The Since I'm from Toronto and like the weather is horrible here and everything, does the hot weather help you in training? Is that why you're in is that why you like training in those areas? Or is it because
Well, I actually would like to come to America, to be honest. Like, because you mentioned, I didn't really touch on this either. Like, if Karate Combat doesn't end up working out, then I probably will transition to MMA. To be honest. But the level in America, and I met some awesome Americans over in America, or sorry, in Thailand. I met some awesome Americans, so I do have connections over there. The weather, it does get cold here. Obviously, not as cold as where you guys are from, but the heat, it helps. It helps. It definitely helps with weight cutting as well, especially in Thailand with how humid it is.
where would you like to train in America?
Vegas. Yeah, I've got a few friends in Vegas. I don't know exactly what gyms, to be honest. I'll have to hit them up when it's time, or yeah. But I've also got a good friend, Aslan from I think he's in California now. He's been moving around, and he actually just opened up one of his own gyms recently. So yeah, they're probably two places that I'd look at when I came over, or if I end up coming over.
Are you in talks with the Karate Combat or no?
No, not at the moment. I feel like I've got to get that Aussie title at least to be able to
Speak to them.
speak to them. Yeah. But I kind of just know at the level I'm at, like, and, not sounding cocky or anything, but, I've trained with guys that are in the organization that are doing very well in the organization, and I kind of know where I stand, if that makes sense.
I understand. What's the go-to Aussie meal after training?
After training,
Yeah.
oh, I love, it's not really Aussie, it's more Vietnamese. I love beef pho. That's one of my favorites. I get it a couple times a week because there's a really good beef pho place near the gym. But I actually love eating kangaroo. That's probably something that you definitely don't have over there. But kangaroo, it's super lean, makes you feel strong. And yeah, I love my kangaroo, especially after a good hard strength session. And you know, you go to Muay Thai session a little later in the day, kangaroo goes down a treat.
Yeah. Uh, the UFC White House is coming up. Topuria versus Gaethje and Hamza Chimaev versus Cyril Gane. Who do you think is going to win the two matchups?
Um, Ilya is definitely going to win. Um, well, you can never say definitely because it is a fight at the end of the day, but I feel like Ilya's skill set is a lot better. And what was the other fight? Sorry, you said Kamzat and
Uh,
uh
Strickland, I think. Oh yeah.
Strickland. Yeah, nah. Kamzat will probably get that, but I've also heard some things that Kamzat's not as hungry as what he used to be. Saying he's making a lot of money outside of fighting, which is all well and good, but he's also kind of made it seem like he's not as hungry, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, time will tell, I guess. But yeah, if I had to put money on it, probably Kamzat and Ilya.
What's the craziest experience that you've had while training or fighting?
Fuck, there's been a few. The craziest experience fighting, I'd say. Funny story. I've actually told it on my Instagram as well. But when I was in Thailand, I was fighting pretty much every month or every few weeks, and there was one fight where I just won by knockout, and then 2 weeks later, I was training at the gym, and I just done my air bike sprints, and I was fighting 2 weeks later, and it was the 15th of December, I'm pretty sure. And my Thai coach comes up to me and he's just like, oh, do you want to fight on the 17th? I was like, oh, but I'm fighting on the 10th of January. He's like, no, no, not next month, this month. Like, we have a fight for you. You want to fight? I was like, oh yeah, fucking oath, like let's fight. Because I felt good. I just finished like hard training and I was feeling good. So I was like, yeah, let's fight. Anyway, had no idea who I was fighting, and I get to the venue, and I realize that I'm fighting a kickboxing world champion. And he's Turkish, so obviously, you know, anything about Turkish kickboxers, they're good, they're strong, they hit hard. And I had a quick gaze on the guy's Instagram, and he was knocking everyone out with his right overhand, like you know, and doing really well for himself. So I was like, all right, fuck, like I can't be getting hit with that. So I always long guard like this, like that's my standard long guard. But because he had that overhand, I had to change my long guard to this, like out the back. So I was shadowboxing for like 20 minutes, just really getting that in my head. And obviously, you know, that kind of comes with skill and experience and fitness, definitely just being able to adapt like that on the fly. But then I ended up going out there and I won every round, 5 rounds, dominated. And you know, that was one of those fights where it kind of reminded me to just really back myself. But just being able to take that level of opponent on just such short notice really was a crazy experience. That, and also, you know, he's fighting on one championship now as well, or he's had one fight. I don't know if he'll fight on there again, but you know, it's really cool to know that I've beaten someone on that level. Yeah, that's probably one of the coolest slash crazy experiences. I also had a fight where I fought in Esam, where I fought in the middle of nowhere. That was pretty cool, but I was the only English speaking person in like fucking a massive radius. So
What
that was a
happened?
bit.
That fight.
So similar thing where I was running on Wednesday and they asked if I wanted to fight on Friday. Yeah, so they asked if I wanted to fight on Friday. So I said yes. No weigh-ins. So we ended up driving to the middle of nowhere, and I actually also had to do a visa run. So it was kind of like a thing where I went over, I did my visa run, and I fought at the same time. So it was really close to Laos. So we drove over, and it was like 5 minutes from the Laos border. And I ended up fighting this like little dude, like this little stocky dude. And he just looked fat as, and I kind of just thought I was going to knock him out.
Yeah.
But then we ended up fighting, and I punched him in the body once, and it felt like I was hitting a brick wall because he was just so dense. And we ended up fighting, and we went 5 rounds, and I got the decision. And it was just like it was so weird being the only speaking person in that radius, and then I get out, and like everyone like thought I was a fucking alien, like they all wanted to take photos with me and shit. But then there was one dude that came out of nowhere, and he was American actually, and he started speaking to me, and he's like, "Oh, I've never seen a foreigner out here. Like, how'd you get out here?" And we ended up speaking for like 10 minutes, just like about everything. And um, but yeah, that was a cool one because it was just like being almost like an alien fighting in the middle of nowhere was pretty funny.
If you could change something, like you said that when you were growing up that you were getting into trouble, right? And then that's
Hmm.
what the sport. If you could like, if anybody's in your position, what would you say to them? Would you just say to them to go through it, or would you say like what would you have changed in that position?
You mean like being young and just like playing up and stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard to give specific advice, unless you know the situation. But you know, I had a few times where fighting kind of saved me. I don't know. I won't go into it like in detail, but you know, I almost trying to think how to explain it. Just if you have an opportunity to do something that you're good at and it can save you from going down a bad path,
Yeah.
then do the thing that you're good at, because nothing good comes out of doing dumb shit for a small little high or a little bit of, you know, enjoyment, you know, because that shit doesn't last, you know. And if you got a chance to do something great, like do it, you know what I mean? Like we only live once, so don't die with regrets. That's probably the bit of advice that I would give.
Thank you, sir. If you want to shout out your Instagram, or I mean, you already have a lot of followers, but if you want to shout out your Instagram, final message or anything.
Yeah, so my Instagram is Dylan_machete_Zanetti. That's Zanetti. And yeah, just want to thank some of my sponsors, Optimum CBD, Nutrition Warehouse, Brett Mallet from BMPT The Advantage, Penf Advantage Therapy. And yeah, just anyone that does want to jump on board as a sponsor, you know, please feel free to reach out. You know, we got a lot more growth to come and we're already on a good path. So yeah.